So this is my breakdown and service and recondition of this Volvo Penta SP290 single prop propeller. Bought it on a Hardy Fisher 20 and looked in relatively okay condition, apart from the paint job is, as you can see, being pretty terrible. No visible damage to the bellows when I purchased it. I've just mounted it on my bench here with a sort of makeshift 2x4s. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the oil out of it. There's no oil showing on the dipstick, which is a concern, but I believe the oil drain plug is actually behind the propeller in there, so I'll take that off. The shift lever is just a little bit loose for my liking, so quite keen to get that out, replace all the seals within the back of that and the shift lever. Due to the previous owner having what he thought was the wrong propeller, he'd bought another propeller, which is the one that's fitted, but unfortunately it was the wrong turn, so he'd put it on back to front, which I don't think would have been very effective. So after a bit of research, I found that these engines can run multi-directional, so by shifting this linkage from here to this side onto this bit here, so just switching it from there to there, and then the engine has no bias to which direction it runs in, so we'd flip the propeller around and we hopefully will work in what would be equivalent to reverse. You can see the fill, that's the gauge plug there for when you fill it up, when it starts dripping out of that. On top there's a dipstick, which I've undone already, and I can take that out so we can see there's maybe, get into focus, not a great deal of oil visible on that. Although it's not rusty, I suppose that's a sign, although it is stainless steel. But when I take this off, that'll expose all the gears inside. But as with the bellows, unfortunately, they had a split at the back at the bottom, and this is what I found when I took it out. I'm just going to put a glove on. So you can see in here that although it's rusty, the joints feel really nice. There's no play. They feel, there's a bit, you can feel the drag of the grease still in them. So cosmetically, they're horrendous. I'm going to get them out, press those out carefully, and then give it a good clean. And note the spline drive being full of mud as I put it on my wheelbarrow to try and take it in from the boat, and the wheelbarrow handle broke and it fell off into the grass. So I'm going to have to be cleaning that out very carefully. Yeah, so I'll film various stages of this, taking it apart. What I'll do now is I'll drain the oil off and then come back with what the oil looks like. Let's hope it's lovely and clear, but I don't suspect it will be if there's any at all. Alright, well, judging by my breathlessness, I've just spent the last half an hour trying to get the drain bolt out, which took a Milwaukee impact gun, which is now covered in gear oil and water. I'll turn that back around so it doesn't drip into the makings. As you can see by the colour of that, beautiful, beautiful gear oil. And judging by the fact it took me 30 minutes of hammering with that massive drill bit and that impact gun to chew out the drain bolt, which is here, as you can see has taken a fair beating, but luckily it didn't deform. I get the impression there's supposed to be like a magnetic stick in the end of that, but if there is, it ain't there anymore. I'm going to have to dig in and make sure that hasn't been knocked out by the vibration of the impact gun. I'll just stick that there for now. Clean my fingers. So it had a fair bit of oil in it. I mean, it's again, lovely stuff. Now, for those of you who are not aware of what gear oil should look like, it should be clear, or at least a nice, maybe golden colour, or maybe slightly darker if it's well worn. But this is a sure sign that water has gone into it and been emulsified through it with the thrashing of the pump and the gears within. So hopefully it's not been too long with water in the gear oil. what it does mean is that we need to change all the seals, particularly the seal on the front of the prop shaft. I had taken the prop and the anode off in the understanding that the drain plug was actually down under here, but it's not on this particular model. On some models it is, that I've seen on YouTube. But I shall let this slowly drain out, clean up the mess that I've made, and then I'm going to start pulling apart this mechanism first so I can have a peek into the gears inside. I'm going to take that off and give that all a very good clean with a wire wheel. I can fix my compressor. Works very freely. You can feel it detenting in. But to me it just feels a wee bit loose, which maybe is an indicator also the seal that's contained within there is extremely worn. I'll put that back on once I've started taking that off and show what it looks like. I'm not being a Volvo Penta expert, I'd say that looks not terrible. There's a little bit of wear on there, but nothing that I would deem to be dramatic. I'm going to get that little roll pin out there. I'm going to push it through and take that pin out, that detent pin, and then I'm going to take the shift drive out. If I put this on the bench, I'll tip that out. You can see I push that through. There should be a rubber seal within that, and also once I've got that out, this whole piece is going to get wire wheeled and painted to an inch of its life. But generally speaking, unfortunately I need to sort out a stand for my phone. It feels okay. It looks okay. There's a tiny bit of corrosion evident there, but nothing scary, and everything looks all right. I'll put this down here for a second and then have a look inside. So this is what's inside, if you can see in there. So that's the cone clutch. If I turn the shaft, you can see it's actually, because there's nothing holding it, engaging on the bottom. But if I go that way, it goes up. If I go that way, it goes down. So it feels fine. I don't think it's too bad. I really don't want to go into the guts of this engine. This stern drive. There's a lot of tolerances, a lot of shims. I may go as far as splitting the top drive unit off of the bottom. But I just wanted to have a look in there, see what it looked like. I want to clean all this face up. I'll put some paper towels in there or something, stop any crap getting in. But no, I'm generally quite pleased with that. I don't think there's any horror shows there. It is pretty like the oils didn't look very good at all. But the next job I'm going to do is take the back drive off, if I can, that union joint, and then I can start taking it to my hydraulic press and start splitting it. If I can, I'll try and do it without damaging that union joint. I'm not entirely sure they're that easy to get hold of in this country. Yep. So, since the last video, take a peek in there. Took these 4 bolts out, which I'm going to keep together. I need to tidy everything up out of these holes here, and one down the bottom there, and one the same on the other side. I've gently-ish tapped that housing. You can see how it's separated from the top drive. So when I come out, there'll be a nice gear in there. It'd be good actually to see the gear and the teeth on it. And you can see something really important with these things, these shims. So I'm going to make sure that the shims stay with the part that I take off. Make sure that I've got them all off as well, and not to damage them. Make sure when they go back on, there's actually 2 there. Look, I don't know if I can get that with my fingernail. Yeah, I see 3 shims there. 3 very thin shims. So, yeah. Sorry about the strobing. If you can see that in the video, I can't help with the refresh rate, I'm afraid. So I'm going to take those off very carefully and put them somewhere safe, and note exactly what part of the engine they come off of, out of the drive they come off of, because that sets the preload on the gears. There will be a method of testing and things like that. I'm not going to go to that length. I'm just going to replace what's on there. I'm going to clean this bit up. As you can see, it's been beautifully painted to a standard, which is, yeah. So I'm going to get that cleaned off. And when I put it all back together, the drive will get a nice, fresh, more sympathetic coat of paint. Yeah, you can see that's actually where the steering bush sits within the, there's like a helmet that comes down over that attaches to the steering fork, and that kind of pivots within it. Again, that's something that just needs a really good clean up. Fortunately, I really don't think this drive's ever, or certainly not in the last 10 years, been touched. I think it's testament to the reliability of these things, that they're extremely robust. But I think maybe caught it in the nick of time. See the gearing in there actually looks all right from a small distance. So some of the things that are very expensive to replace is that brass cone in the middle, that cone clutch. That's a £600 piece of metal. A replacement drive shaft, I believe, is like $800 from America. So looking at that one, hopefully I can actually save it, clean it and paint it, strip it down, get the wire wheel in there. Might even throw that in the sandblast cabinet actually. Yeah, and I'll bring you back along when I've taken that drive out and show you what it looks like inside. So that's it out. As you can see, actually, that is in absolutely cracking condition. Very little mark. Certainly nothing that's going to give me a major alarm bells. I'm going to take an impact gun on that shortly and then take that off. Separate this bit, this horrible rusty bit, from this bit, and hopefully we can get that off. I'm going to take a knife and very carefully separate those shims, and I want to break it down so this piece here, completely independent, and then I can set to it, make it look nice. This is the same with this bit here. This bit here obviously just needs to sit somewhere safe. And just to add to my relief, not a lot of wrong looking bad in there, nothing looking bad at all. So I think we're okay. I think we might have caught this engine right in the nick of time, which is, I keep saying engine, it's actually a stern drive. Tell you something that does need replacing is this thing. It's like, oh yeah, you know, it could clean up until you get down underneath and go, oh, there's a chunk missing. So that's coming off, getting replaced. That's the water intake, which draws up from down here. And not really something that you want to fail on you while you're out and about and overheat your engine and seize it up. If I can see daylight, oh yeah, I can see daylight through there now. So I think that was the biggest concern for me. So I'm going to set about cleaning this. Going to probably plug those two bits with blue roll and start trying to clean that bit. Make sure no rubbish gets in there. I'm going to remove that shift fork as well. I'm not figured out how to do that yet, whether I just punch the pin out or whether there's some sort of retaining circlip here. I think once I get in there and clean it, it might be more clear. There's some interesting Volvo right in there. I don't think there's anything particularly. But again, extremely robust. It's been sailing with loads of gear, water in the gear oil, and it's fine, thankfully. Massive relief. We're looking at the best part of £4 to replace this, but we will make it look nice again. Just one quick update. That bearing is like silk, which is again a relief because it having a split bellow, you'd think that'd be the first bearing that gets it. I think the seal has definitely seen better days. As you can see, it's a bit of a mess in there, but I think we caught it in time. I'll get that split ring out, clean it up, maybe replace it if I can find one, get a new seal. Maybe the new seal will come with a split ring, I'm not sure. But no, really pleased. Really pleased. This is going to get a good clean up. I'll split that off, and again I've got to remember to take those shims off. And that is what that is. I'll strip that down, press it out with a hydraulic press. Okay, I've got one, and go to town with the wire wheel. Be careful on that because I have a funny feeling that's actually a sealing face on the bearing. So I want to give that a good clean and make sure that's got no damage or nicks in it. But I really feel like we've dodged a bullet. I think there's actually, all the abuse this engine's received, the stern drive has received, it's say abuse, more neglect. I think. I don't think it's been abused. There's no evidence of abuse.